pagkakaisa ang aming mga puso bilang mga Pilipino. Sa gitna ng kasalukuyang kalagayan ng aming bansa, sa mga hamon ng pagbabago, pagbangon mula sa mga pagsubok at patuloy na paghahangad ng kaunlaran, kami po ay humihingi ng iyong patnubay. Bigyan mo po kami ng malinaw na isipan at bukas na kalooban upang makapaglingkod ng tapat, makatarungan at may malasakit sa kapwa. Basbasan mo po ang Department of Information and Communications Technology. Gabayan mo ang aming mga pinuno at kawani upang magamit ang kaalaman at teknolohiya bilang daan sa inklusibong pag-unlad at mas maayos na paglilingkod sa sambayanan. Naway palakasin mo po ang aming pagkakaisa bilang isang ahensya at bilang isang bansa. Tulungan mo po kaming gampanan ang aming mga tungkulin ng may disiplina, pananagutan at pagmamahal sa bayan. Ingatan mo po kami sa buong maghapon, patatagin ang aming katawan, isipan at kalooban at patnubayan mo kami sa bawat hakbang na aming tatahakin. Ang lahat ng ito ay aming ipinauubaya sa iyo. Amen.
Yan. Good morning po again. So, tanong ko lang po kung taga saan po tayo, kung saan po umaabot ang ating webinar. Pwede po kayo mag-type sa chat. Laguna, Siquijor, Bicol. Yan, ang layo naman po. Thank you so much. Gigan, Manila, Bohol, Batanes, Leyte. So, around the Philippines po pala. Grabe naman po. Ang lalayo nyo pala. Hindi po pala kayo sa taga mga Bulacan po halos, no? Maraming maraming salamat po sa ating bigay ng oras ngayon po. So, right now po, pwede po tayong photo opportunity po. Pakibukas lang po yung ating mga webcam kung pwede po. Mag-unshare lang po ako. Eh, dali.
The
Mali pa.
Department of
Okay.
Naka-mute ka, Sir Julius. Nagbibilang ka ba?
So yung OJT ma'am yung pipicture lahat. Ayan, ayan. Okay na.
Ito mo? Oo, ano? Ano ka mo, A or B? Yung proctor si Kuan. Dili na si Ma'am Shine, si Kuan na yun, secretary balito. Okay, nakakuan man kung si Ma'am Sunshine, kung man nakaproctor siya sa dili ya oras, sa app. Ayan. Picture po muna, pa-open ang camera.
Okay, 16 pages po pala. So, okay. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3. Isa pa po. Next page. Ay, hindi naglo-loading yung iba. Video. Sige, picturean mo lang. Screenshot mo. Pati yung mga pangalan naman nila lalabas. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Isa pa po. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Next. One, two, three. Next po ulit. Medyo marami po pala tayo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Next po. One, two, three. Next. One, two, three. Next po ulit. Next po. 10 pages pa daw po. Keep your ano na lang po, yung inyong smile. Okay, thank you po. Okay na po. Napicture na po lahat. Thank you. Okay. So before we start po, there is some policy and reminders before we start. Okay po.
Welcome to our session. This meeting may be recorded for documentation. Please keep your microphone muted unless speaking and turn your camera on only if needed. Use your full name or organization as your display name and follow host instructions on screen sharing. Maintain professionalism and respect, use the chat for questions, and provide a verified email to receive updates and your certificate. Thank you.
The Department of Information and Communications and Technology, DICT, is the primary policy, planning, coordinating, implementing, and administrative entity of the executive branch of the government that plans, develops, and promotes the National ICT Development Agenda, RA 10844. The ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau is the training arm of the DICT that develops and implements ICT literacy and competency development programs to harness the competitiveness of the current and future workforce, as well as the marginalized/special needs sector, towards an ICT-enabled society.
Ayan po. So for today's resource speaker po, we are very grateful sa ating National Privacy Commission. So ang ating resource speaker po ay si Miss Christine Danica S. Addis. Siya ay isang Information Officer 3 of the Public Information and Assistance Division of the National Privacy Commission. She leads the Public Promotion and Assistance team. In NPC, core of her work includes providing technical assistance to research and knowledge products relevant to the implementation of the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Ms. Addis has been serving as a resource speaker for the Commission, various programs such as Kabataang Digital and Data Protection Officer Briefing. She obtained her bachelor's degree in Philippines Studies and master degree in Applied Economics from De La Salle University. So please welcome po Miss Christine Danica Addis.
Hello po, good morning po.
Morning po.
Audible po ako.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Share ko lang po yung presentation ko po. Visible po yung presentation ko.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes
Okay,
po.
sige po. Sige. Again, thank you po sa DICT Region 3, Bulacan, and ILC DB for inviting the National Privacy Commission to conduct introduction about Data Privacy Act of 2012. So, sino po ba sa inyo dito yung first time na naka-attend ng briefing or session about data privacy? Ayan. I think madami sa inyo. And since yung audience po natin ngayon is, I think from different backgrounds, merong mga professionals, may students, merong representing their government agency from private sector. So, i-discuss ko po yung provisions ng Data Privacy Act na applicable both on data subjects and personal information controller. But before we begin or before we go to that provisions, this conference din po will be kinda interactive. So, may mga questions tayo along the way. And please, you can participate by answering or sending your answers in the chat box. So, medyo light, gawin po natin light yung discussion since medyo mabigat po yung mga provisions under the data privacy. Ayan. So, bakit nga po ba tayo mayroong Data Privacy Act? And ano po ba yung right to privacy? So, the right to privacy or the first definition of right to privacy that we know of was from Justice Brandeis, who described privacy as the right to be let alone. He meant that the right to privacy is the right of every individual to decide for themselves or what part of their life are shared with others and what part of their life should remain private. It's about having control over their decisions and information. So ito pong definition na to, it became the foundation of data privacy laws around the world, including the Philippines Data Privacy Act of 2012. He also said that the right to privacy is the most comprehensive rights. And why did he say that? Because he believed that privacy touches almost every human right. And this includes the freedom of speech, freedom of movement, dignity, and even happiness. Diba, if you think about it, without privacy, you can't feel safe expressing yourself, or without privacy, our home or communications may be interfered with. So the right to privacy, it's like a protective shield that allow other rights to flourish or to prosper. Okay. So among these three, ano po sa palagay nyo yung covered or governed by the Data Privacy Act? So meron po tayong tatlong klase ng privacy. It is decisional, locational, and information privacy. Pero ito, isa lang. So ano po sa palagay nyo yung covered ng data privacy sa tatlong ito? May sumagot ng letter C, information privacy. Ayan. So tama po kayo, the Data Privacy Act, by the word itself, governs informational privacy. And i-differentiate lang po natin yung tatlong klase ng privacy. So number one, yung locational privacy. Ito po yung karapatan natin sa pribadong espasyo katulad ng tahanan, opisina, o iba pang lugar kung saan may inaasahan tayong privacy. So halimbawa yung karapatan natin laban sa warrantless arrest or warrantless search and seizure na nasa ilalim ng Constitution. So 'di ba hindi maaaring pumasok yung mga law enforcement authorities sa ating bahay kapag walang search warrant. Maliban na lang kung mayroong lehitimong dahilan katulad ng hot pursuit. Pangalawa po is yung decisional privacy. Ito naman yung karapatan ng isang individual na gumawa ng mahalagang desisyon tungkol sa sarili niyang katawan o sa sarili niyang buhay. Halimbawa, dito yung karapatan ng isang tao na mag-donate ng organ after niya mamatay or yung decision niya na magpa-vaccine or hindi. And yung karapatan ng isang babae sa reproductive health planning. Dito po yan pumapasok sa decisional privacy. And lastly, yung information privacy. Ito yung sakop ng Data Privacy Act of 2012. Ito yung karapatan ng isang individual na magkaroon ng control sa kanyang personal information. Kung sino yung makaka-access nito, paano ito gagamitin, kanino ito ibabahagi or i-share, or paano ito i-destroy or itapon kung hindi na kailangan. So, ayan po ang tatlong klase ng privacy. And ano naman po yung complete title ng batas or yung tinatawag nating Data Privacy Act of 2012. Medyo mahaba po ito, so hindi ko na po ipapasagot sa inyo, but the full title is an act protecting individual personal information in information and communication systems in the government and the private sector, creating for this purpose the National Privacy Commission and for other purposes. So, medyo para mapaikli na lang natin or ma-shortcut, we refer to it as Data Privacy or DPA of 2012. Again, bakit tayo may data privacy? Because the state protects the fundamental human right of privacy while also ensuring the free flow of information. So, i-discuss po natin yung ibig sabihin niyang protecting fundamental human right to privacy while ensuring free flow of innovation in the succeeding slides. Pero mahalaga na i-emphasize natin kung ano po ba yung scope ng DPA. So, pag sinabi nating scope, ang covered lang po ng Data Privacy Act ay yung processing ng kahit anong klaseng personal information, whether sensitive personal information or just a personal information, and to any natural or juridical person. Ibig sabihin, if the processing is done by a natural person or an individual, or the processing is done by a juridical person, which is a corporation or even a government agency, covered po siya ng Data Privacy Act. And the processing, the DPA could also apply if the processing is done here in the Philippines and even in abroad. Ito naman po yung mga hindi covered ng Data Privacy Act. So, yung mga information that is processed for the purpose of allowing public access, ito po yung may mga information na hinihingi natin to government agencies since meron po tayong freedom of information, may certain information that is not covered by the Data Privacy Act. Yung personal information for journalistic or literary purpose. So halimbawa, gagamitin natin siya to write an article for article or any other matter for the journalistic, artistic, and literary purpose, hindi po covered yan ng data privacy. Another is when it is used to process research purpose. So gagamitin natin yung mangongolek tayo ng information in order to for any research for that matter. Halimbawa, gusto natin aralin kung gaano kataas yung awareness ng mga tao in terms of data privacy. Gagamitin natin yung information nila for research purpose, hindi covered ng Data Privacy Act. And other information na kailangan ng ating bangko, financial institution to comply with AMLA. And lastly, yung mga information that was originally collected sa ibang bansa. So, kinolect siya sa ibang bansa, usually, ang mag-govern dyan is yung bansa kung saan siya kinolect. Kaya pagdating dito sa Philippines, hindi na mag-govern yung Data Privacy Act of 2012. Okay, so ito po yung mga provisions under the DPA na pagtutuunan natin ng pansin. So, meron tayong Section 1 to 6, yung definition and general provisions. Section 7 to 10 is about us, the functions and the mandate of the NPC. Section 11 to 21 are the rights of a data subject and obligations of PICs and PIPs. Section 22 to 24 are those specific provisions to government. So bakit may specific provisions po tayo to government? Because our lawmakers think na isa sa pinakamalaking controllers or napakaraming informations na pinaprocess ng mga gobyerno. So kaya meron silang specific provisions to government. 'Di ba? Pupunta tayo sa SE, sa PhilHealth, sa GSIS, magbibigay tayo ng kung ano-anong information. So, isa po ang gobyerno or kung hindi man sa pinakamalaking personal information controller na nagpo-process ng data natin. So, may specific provision po sila under our law. And lastly, Section 25 to 37 are the penalties. Kung hindi po nasunod yung mga provisions under the DPA, of course, meron mga penalties and offenses that may be punishable by the DPA. So, bago po tayo tuloy sa discussion, panoorin po natin to maikling video. Sige, isubukan ko lang po ulit. And so the video again titled What Can Happen to Your Personal Data Online. So it was a short educational clip about digital privacy, and it illustrates how our personal data once online can lead to unpredictable or undesirable consequences. So, yun po yung lagi natin sinasabi when you put yourself out there online and your personal data, the bits of your personal data like your photos, videos, posts can be found by sometimes by people that you did not intend. So, and yung mga data na share po natin online, it can persist because the internet has long memory. So, kung ano po yung sinashare nyo may have consequences of how you are being perceived, judged, or treated by others. So, yung video na napanood natin, it's framed in the context of personal reputation and job application. Ayan, so kanina pa po natin nababanggit yung word na processing. Ano po bang ibig sabihin ng processing as defined under the DPA? The processing refers to any operation or set of operations performed upon personal information including but not limited to collection, recording, organization, storage, updating, modification, retrieval, consultation, use, consolidation, blocking, erasure, or destruction of data. So, makikita niyo po dito, um, any operation, kahit anong gawin nyo sa personal data, from the moment of collection to the end, to the erasure or destruction, is considered as processing. And di ba binanggit natin kanina yung definition ng processing? Ano po ba yung processing? Kahit anong klase ng operation na ginagawa nyo sa personal data will be covered by Data Privacy Act of 2012. Ano naman po yung personal information controller? Nabanggit ko din kanina yung 'di ba, government agencies or private sector can be considered as personal information controller. Under the law, the personal information controller is a natural or juridical person or any other body who controls the processing of personal data or instructs another to process personal data on its behalf. So, yung PIC po, pwede siyang tao or organisasyon na may control sa collection, holding, or paggamit ng personal information. And kabilang dito yung mga tao or organisasyon na nagbibigay ng utos, who instructs another. Nagbibigay ng utos sa iba pang individual or entity. Magbigay po tayo ng example. Tulad ng mga call center, yung mga IT service providers, sila po kasi minsan yung nagpa-process on behalf of another entity. So, covered po sila ng DPA as personal information controller. Hindi po kasama dito yung mga natural person who process personal data in connection with his or her personal family or household affairs. So, ano po bang ibig sabihin nito? Kapag halimbawa nag-post ka ng picture mo or picture ng anak mo on Facebook, of course, hindi mo na kailangan kunin yung consent niya. Kasi you're not considered as personal information controller for that matter. Bakit? Dahil you are just posting the photo of your son or daughter in connection with your personal family or household affairs. So sa mga ganung pagkakataon, you are not considered as a PIC and therefore you are not covered by the DPA. The personal information processor ay another entity that is being regulated by the NPC. The PIP are those natural and juridical person to whom a personal information controller may outsource or instruct the processing of personal data pertaining to a data subject. So, ito po ay yung in a simple or in a more simple definition, ito po yung mga BPOs or yung mga call centers kasi meron po tayong mga foreign companies na halimbawa ina-outsource yung data processing nila sa mga BPOs dito sa Philippines. So, yung mga BPOs po that process personal information on behalf of companies or foreign companies are considered as personal information processors. So, sila po ay sakop din ng data privacy. This means that they also have to comply with our laws. Another is yung mga delivery platforms, yung mga alam nating delivery platforms such as Shopee, Lazada. Meron pong iba sa kanila gumagamit ng mga third-party courier services upang ma-deliver yung products nila. So, yung mga third party po nila, in order na ma-deliver yung mga parcels sa atin, they're considered as personal information processor. Yan. Ano naman po yung personal information? Pag sinabi nating personal information, it refers to any information whether recorded in a material form or not, from which the identity of an individual is apparent. So, ito po yung, usually this refers to our full name. 'Di ba? Often, or karamihan sa atin, unique naman yung pangalan natin, especially when combined with our middle name. So, halimbawa, Juan de la Cruz. Juan de la Cruz might be a common name. Pag nilagyan natin siya or ng middle name, let's say, Juan de Mesa de la Cruz, we can already identify exactly which Juan de la Cruz we're talking about. So, yun po, from which the identity of an individual is apparent. Second is can be reasonably and directly ascertained by the entity holding the information. Example po nito ay yung chairman ng PSA. Kahit hindi natin sabihin yung pangalan niya, if we say chairman of the Philippine Statistics Authority, we can figure out who that person is. Bakit po? Kasi isa lang naman po yung taong nag-hold ng position na yan. So from that description alone, the identity of the individual becomes clear. Another example, the secretary of the DICT or the secretary of DPWH, kahit hindi naman natin i-mention yung name, we can identify kung sino yung tinutukoy natin because isa lang po yung nag-hold ng position na yun. And lastly, when put together with other information, would directly and certainly identify an individual. So, ito po yung mga piecemeal information or yung pieces of data that may not identify anyone, but when combined with other information, would point to a specific person. So, halimbawa, pag sinabi ko sa inyong yung phone number or halimbawa address, pag sinabi natin 0917 59999 ganyan, phone number, would you identify an individual by that phone number alone? 'Di ba maaring hindi po kasi wala naman tayong means to identify kung sino nagmamay-ari nung number na yon. But when that phone number would be combined with other personal information such as address. Halimbawa, yung number na yon plus yung address niya na 123 kay Mito Street, Tondo, Manila, yung height niya 5'4", yung birthday niya November 1, 1986, Kayumanggi, lalaki, yung mga information na yon, when we put together, we can already identify an individual. So, yun po yung tinatawag natin when put together with other information would directly and certainly identify an individual. Okay, so tapos na po tayo sa personal information controller. Ngayon, discuss naman po natin yung sensitive, tinatawag natin sensitive personal information. So from these three choices, ano po sa palagay nyo yung hindi considered as sensitive personal information? Ayan, may sumasagot ng bank account, mayroong political affiliation, medyo, ayan, marami pong iba-iba po yung sagot natin. Tignan po natin. So, A po, bank account number are not considered as sensitive personal information. Ano po ba yung sensitive personal information definition under DPA? So, ito lang po yan. Yung nakikita nyo po sa screen, yan po yung actually not really definition but more of enumeration. Kapag wala po dyan sa enumeration na yan, that is not considered as personal information. Baka personal information lang siya or privileged information. Yung sensitive personal information na enumeration na po ito ay exclusive. Again, pag wala dito, hindi siya considered as sensitive. And malalaman po natin bakit kailangan i-differentiate yung sensitive from just a personal information. Kasi magkaiba po yung penalty kapag ang na-breach ay sensitive personal information. Definitely mas mataas. Iba rin po yung criteria or yung lawful basis para ma-process yung sensitive personal information compared sa personal information. So kaya po merong differentiation, kaya po dinidifferentiate natin yung dalawa. So again, sensitive personal information refers to race, ethnic origin, marital status, color, religious, philosophical, or political affiliations. Kung mapapansin niyo po yung mga sensitive personal information, ito yung mga information that can be used to profile an individual or in extreme cases to discriminate an individual. Halimbawa, 'di ba, minsan kapag yung isang tao medyo leaning siya in a specific political party or political affiliation, minsan pino-profile siya or nadi-discriminate in hiring, promotion, or other activities. So kaya sensitive siya, mas mahigpit yung proteksyon na binibigay ng batas sa mga ganitong klaseng information. Another example po is yung health, education, genetic, sexual life, or for any proceeding, for any offense committed or alleged to have been committed by such person. The disposal of such proceedings or the sentence of any court in such proceedings. So, kapag meron po tayong mga administrative proceedings, including yung mga internal proceedings, these are considered as sensitive personal information. Of course, ayaw nating malaman na iniimbestigahan tayo, kaya for that matter, considered as SPI or sensitive personal information po siya. Information issued by government agencies peculiar to an individual, which includes but not limited to SSS, health records, or even our tax return. So, yung mga unique identifiers po natin na nanggagaling sa government, like passport number, SSS, GSIS, that is considered as sensitive personal information. And lastly, yung information that's specifically established by an EO or an Act of Congress to be classified as such. Privilege information naman po, although hindi siya specifically defined under the law, kasi may ibang laws po that govern privilege information. Maaring yung rules of court natin or other law that governs privilege information. Pero for purposes of discussion, i-discuss ko na lang din po kung ano yung privilege information. Ito po yung mga information in, halimbawa, marital relationship. So yung mga dinedisclose between husband and wife, privilege information po yan. Attorney-client relationship, physician-patient relationship, confessional privilege kapag nagko-confess tayo sa priest, and also public officer given information in official confidence. So ito ay considered as privileged information. Sino naman po ba yung mga data subject? So I think nabanggit ko din kanina yung data subject. Data subject refers to an individual whose personal information, sensitive personal information, or personal or privileged information is being processed. So lahat po tayo dito sa Zoom na ito, kung ano man yung roles na ginagampanan natin as employee, dito nung umattend tayo ng seminar na 'to, nagbigay tayo ng information sa DICT. So, we're considered as data subject. So, kahit sino pong tao na kung saan yung personal information niya or sensitive personal information ay pina-process ay considered as data subject. Okay, so ano naman po yung mga karapatan natin yung mga karapatan ng data subject under the data privacy? So, sa palagay niyo po sa tatlong ito, alin sa mga ito yung hindi kasama sa Data Privacy Act of 2012? Ayan. I think most of you got the correct answer. Yung letter C po, right to automated decision making. Wala po tayong ganyang right sa Philippine Data Privacy Act. Sa batas natin, meron lang tayong seven rights. Sinama lang po namin yung right to file a complaint, although wala po yan I mean, hindi siya specifically considered as a right. Ito po, sige. Isa-isahin po natin tong data subject rights kung ano pong ibig sabihin yan. Under the law, again, meron tayong 8 right. The right to information, right to object, right to access, right to correct, right to erasure, right to data portability, right to damage, and right to file a complaint. Umpisahan po natin sa right to information. So nakalagay po dito ay transparency before the entry of personal data. Sa right to information or right to be informed, karapatan natin as data subject kung ano yung personal data na ipoprocess ng isang PIC or isang organization, company, or government. 'Di ba? Kapag usually medyo okay na yung mga entities natin kasi kapag nagbibigay tayo ng personal information sa kanila, may makikita tayong privacy notice. Ito, katulad nito, privacy notice. So, yan po ay isang way of showing na nagko-comply sila sa right to information ng mga data subject. Kasi binibigyan tayo ng information kung ano yung kino-collect nila, saan nila gagamitin, bakit nila kailangan i-collect 'to, gaano nila katagal iki-keep yung information niyo, paano niyo maa-access. So, basically, that's a right to information. I'm not sure kung meron sa inyo gumagamit ng app na 'to, the Duolingo. Pero before signing in, kokolektahin yung age niyo, yung name niyo, yung email address. And by signing in, makikita niyo yung kanilang terms and privacy policy. So, katulad nito. So, again, that's a manifestation na they're complying with data privacy because they're showing sa atin kung ano yung terms and privacy policy nila in terms of paano nila gagamitin yung personal data na ibinibigay natin sa kanila. And kung wala silang privacy notice or privacy policy, karapatan po natin yun na hingiin sa kanila or magtanong through their data protection officer kung paano nila gagamitin yung data natin. Kasi again, karapatan po natin yan under the DPA. But we have to emphasize na yung privacy notice po ay hindi siya equivalent to consent. Pag binasa natin and yung privacy notice, hindi ibig sabihin na nagko-consent na tayo. Kasi yung consent po, it must be freely given, specific, informed, and evidenced by written, electronic, or recorded means. Ano pong ibig sabihin nito? Kapag mayroong privacy policy and it's just merely a declaration kung paano ginagamit yung information natin, hindi po siya consent. Dapat ang consent meron ebidensya na nag-a-agree tayo dun sa processing nila. So, minsan may makikita kayong mga tick box or minsan may matatanggap kayong email asking kung gusto nyo pang makatanggap ng mga newsletter about them. Or minsan may through text, 'di ba? Sasabihin nila, message stop if ayaw mo nang maka-receive ng mga text message from that. Yun po yung example ng consent. Kasi meron tayong indication na nag-a-agree tayo or hindi tayo nag-a-agree. Another right is yung right to object. Karapatan po natin na mag-object o tutulan yung pag-process ng information lalo na kung ginagamit ito sa purpose na hindi natin inauthorize. Halimbawa, marketing or profiling. Kadalasan, halimbawa, pag sign up tayo sa mga apps, ano po ba yung mga apps na madalas nating gamitin? Or like Zoom, Grammarly, Canva, 'di ba? Nagsisend sila ng mga promotional or marketing emails. So, pwede nating i-exercise yung right to object sa pamamagitan ng pag-unsubscribe or pag-opt out sa kanila. Another is yung right to access. Karapatan po natin na ma-access yung information patungkol sa um, kung ano yung information na pina-process nila tungkol sa atin. So, halimbawa, usually mga government agencies merong mga form asking kung ano yung mga information na hawak nila tungkol sa atin. So, kung wala or minsan kung hindi natin mabasa sa privacy notice nila, pwede tayong mag-demand from them na i-declare sa atin kung ano yung information na hawak-hawak nila patungkol sa atin. Another is yung right to correction. Ito naman po, I think meron mga agencies na that allows na mag-update ka ng information. So, if halimbawa nalaman mo na inaccurate na yung data na pina-process nila about you, kunyari pag nag-sign up tayo sa isang delivery platform, hindi makarating yung order natin kasi outdated na yung address or yung um, phone number natin. We have the right to update or to correct our information. So, ayan, nakikita niyo po, no to inaccuracy. Karapatan po natin yun na i-update or i-correct yung information that they hold about us. Next is yung right to erasure or blocking. Karapatan din po natin i-suspend, i-withdraw, i-block, ipatanggal, or ipabasura yung mga personal data na hawak nila ng mga PICs na 'to, lalo na kung mali, at hindi na kailangan. So, halimbawa, marami kasing gumagawa nito yung a-attend ka ng seminar, face to face, kukunan ka ng picture, minsan makikita mo yung picture mo natutulog ka, ayan. So, again, you have the right to erasure or blocking. Or dati nauso sa social media yung 'pag mag-isa ka kakain sa labas, pipicturan ka na hindi mo kilala kung sino, then ipo-post ka na parang, "I saw this guy eating alone. I wanted to ask him, 'Are you okay?' I wanted to know his name, but I didn't get his name. He looked so lonely." Yung parang, gusto mo lang naman mapag-isa pero na-post ka. Again, you have the right to erasure or to tell the one who posted or the one who took your picture na i-take down or i-delete from any system. Ayan, sorry. And another right is yung right to data portability. Ang ibig sabihin lang po neto ay may karapatan tayong humingi ng copy sa PIC in any format na gusto natin, pwedeng electronic, and malipat yung personal data to another service. So, halimbawa po niyan yung SIM card portability app. Kapag transfer tayo from one network, halimbawa from Smart to Globe or Globe to dito, hindi na po natin kailangan magpalit ng number. Pwede po nating ipa-retain yung number na gamit na natin. Another example is yung magta-transfer po tayo ng information from Facebook to Google. So, meron po ganyang mechanism sa Facebook kung saan makaka-transfer ka ng personal information mo from Facebook to another service such as Google. So, yan po ay example ng ating right to data portability. And lastly, meron din tayong right to damages. Kapag na-violate yung any of our data subject rights na na-discuss ko kanina, or nagtamo tayo ng pinsala or damage dahil sa mali, hindi kompleto, outdated, or hindi authorized yung paggamit ng personal data natin, karapatan natin na mabigyan ng danyos or mabayaran ng PIC. So, paano po ba natin i-exercise yun? Pwede tayo mag-file a complaint with the NPC. So, meron po kaming guidelines sa website namin on how you can file a complaint as a data subject. Pero bago po yan, ini-encourage namin yung mga data subject that before they file a complaint with the NPC, they have to exhaust yung remedies na available sa kanila. So, halimbawa po, um, nag-request kayo to update your personal information, halimbawa sa GSIS, and hindi nag-act yung GSIS on your request, we encourage the data subject to first call out the GSIS or first consult the GSIS dun sa complaint niya. Usually may mga data protection officer po yung mga organizations na yan or mga companies. So, lumapit po muna kayo sa kanila and then explain kung ano po yung nangyari before filing a complaint with the NPC so that mabigyan po ng opportunity yung company or organization na i-explain kung ano po nangyari dun sa nire-request nyo or kung bakit hindi na-actionan or kung bakit natagalan sa pag-action. So, yan po. So, I hope na medyo malinaw sa inyo yung mga rights ng data subject, mga rights natin under the Data Privacy Act. Sige, hello po.
Nahiwag nga ang nakaputan mo na naman ang screen. Ano ka man? Taga-buludo. Ali ba ako?
Sige po. Continue ko lang po So, mayroong mga examples or scenarios dito sa screen and then you can just tell me kung ano yung appropriate na right na dapat i-exercise ng data subject. So, medyo naman po tayo, application, scenario-based example. Okay, so Sarah is a customer of an online shopping called ShopNow. She purchases clothes, accessories from this platform. One day, Sarah notices that her account information, specifically her shipping address, has been recorded incorrectly in her profile. Due to this error, her orders have been delivered to incorrect address. If you were Sarah, what right should you exercise under the DPA? So, mula sa mga rights na diniscuss ko kanina, ano po yung sa palagay niyong applicable kung kayo si Sarah? Ayan, may mga sumagot na right to correct. Ayan. Very good po, no, everyone? That's right to rectify, right to rectification, or right to correction. So, again, dahil inaccurate yung na-record sa kanya, she wants na i-update yung information na hawak ng ShopNow. So, ang pinaka-appropriate po na right na dapat i-exercise ni Sarah ay yung right to rectify or right to correct. Very good, everyone. Okay. Second question, what right should you exercise when you want to delete your picture posted on social media? I think binigay ko din example ito. Ano yung right na dapat mong i-invoke kapag gusto mong i-delete yung picture na na-post ka sa social media? Yan. Very good, everyone. Right to erasure. So, clear naman na po sa atin lahat yung ating rights under the DPA. Ngayon, punta naman po tayo dun sa data privacy principles. Ito naman po ay more of pang mga corporations or government agencies if their role is sila po yung nagpa-process ng information. So, among these four, kasi tatlo lang po yung data privacy principle, alin po dito yung sa palagay nyo hindi considered as data privacy principle? Ayan, iba-iba po yung sagot natin, no? Pero the correct answer is consent. Tatlo lang po yung data privacy principle. Legitimate purpose, proportionality, and transparency. Medyo briefly i-discuss lang po natin yung bawat isang data privacy principle. Start po tayo sa transparency. Ano po ba yung transparency? Yan po yung nabanggit na natin kanina. Kasi since ang data subject ay may right to be informed, dapat maging informed sila of the nature, purpose, and extent of the processing. Tayo naman pong mga nagpa-process ng information nila, dapat maging transparent tayo sa kanila. So, we have to inform them of, ayan po, nature, purpose, extent, kabilang na dito yung risk, yung identity, kung sino po ba yung nagpa-process ng information nila, yung data protection officer nyo, and the information that must be provided to them should be simple. Simple, it must be understood by an average member. It must use a clear and plain language, and it must be concrete and definitive. So, pag magbibigay po tayo ng information, paano natin pinaprocess yung data nila, dapat naiintindihan nung audience natin. So, kung halimbawa may app kayong ginagawa specifically for kids, dapat yung privacy notice nyo ay naiintindihan ng bata. Pwede nyo pong gawin yun through videos, through animated version. Wala naman pong requirement yung batas na dapat written or for as long as it could be understood by an average member of their target audience. Second po, legitimate purpose. Ano naman po itong legitimate purpose? Ibig sabihin lang neto, dapat lawful yung pag-process natin. Dapat may basis tayo under the law bago natin i-process yung information nila. So ano po ba yung pwede natin gamiting basis? Marami po yan under the law. So kung nag-iisip kayo kung pwede ba namin tong i-collect, pwede na ba namin i-disclose sa third party, pwede ba namin tong i-erase na, pwede ba namin tong i-delete na sa aming system, or pwede ba namin tong gamitin for other purpose, dito lang po kayo titingin sa Section 12 ng Data Privacy Act. So ano po ba yung number one lawful basis? Meron po tayong tinatawag na consent. So na-define na po natin kanina yung consent, di ba? Refers to freely given, specific, informed indication of will, and it must be evidenced by electronic or recorded means. Pero kung makikita niyo po dito, hindi lang consent yung basis for processing of personal information. So tignan niyo po kung meron kayong contract with the data subject, if yung pag-collect nyo ng information would be necessary in order to comply with the legal obligation, if it's necessary to protect the interests of your data subject, including life and health, if it's necessary for your function as a public authority, halimbawa may national emergency, and if it's necessary for your legitimate interest. Again, hindi lang po consent yung basis for processing personal information. Kahit na wala kayong consent, basta kailangan nyo siya, halimbawa, kasi may contract kayo with the data subject. Halimbawa, sa mga employers, magbibigay sila, magsasubmit sila ng PDS. So, yung sinabit na ng PDS, kailangan nyo po yun to assess whether the applicant is qualified for a position. So, hindi nyo na po kailangan kunin yung consent nila. Because the collection of their PDS might be necessary for number 1, employment contract, or number 2, pwede rin po siyang pumasok sa legitimate interest because you need that in order to assess whether that particular applicant is qualified for the position that he or she is applying. So, yan po yung madalas kasi namin natatanggap na inquiry. Kasi pag narinig na lang data privacy, akala nila bawal na. But no po, pwedeng mag-process for as long as you have any of the lawful criteria under this particular profession. So, tingin lang po kayo dito sa Section 12. Ito na-discuss ko na po itong consent, so hindi na po natin babalikan. Emphasize ko lang po, is consent always needed? The answer is no. Hindi po kailangan palagi may consent. Hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon hingi ka ng consent kasi nga, 'di ba, again, the policy of the state is to protect the fundamental human right to privacy but also to ensure free flow of information. So, paano po natin mai-ensure yung free flow of information kung sa lahat na lang ng bagay hihingi natin yung consent? So, hindi po kailangan ang consent for processing information. The consent would only be material kung ito po yung pinaka-appropriate na basis. And at the end of the day, it is the discretion of the PAC to choose kung ano po yung pinaka-appropriate and kung ano yung lawful basis that would reflect the true nature of the relationship with the data subject. Punta naman po tayo sa sensitive personal information. Ano naman po yung mga lawful basis for processing sensitive personal information? Again, may consent na naman, but again, hindi po always needed yung consent because the processing of sensitive personal information pwede po siyang provided for by other existing laws. So, halimbawa, meron kayong legal basis or regulatory enactment that requires you to process yung mga SSS, GSIS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, then hindi nyo na po kailangan ng consent if it's necessary to protect the life and health of a data subject. So, halimbawa, usually sa mga hospitals or in medical treatment, manghihingi sila ng information about us or about you. So again, hindi nila kailangan ng consent because it's needed for medical treatment or to protect the life and health of a data subject. Another is yung necessary to achieve lawful and non-commercial objective and to protect the lawful rights and interests of a data subject. So, yan po yung mga pwede nating gamiting basis when we process sensitive personal information. And lastly, last data privacy principle po is yung principle of proportionality. Ano pong ibig sabihin nito? In simple words, ibig sabihin lang po ay dapat kumukuha tayo ng information na necessary and hindi excessive dun sa dineclare nating purpose. Halimbawa, tayo po ay lending company, nagpapautang po tayo, pero ang requirements natin ay sandamakmak. May 2x2 picture, 1x1, valid ID, barangay. 'Di ba? Parang hindi naman siya proportionate dun sa dineclare nating purpose na magpapautang tayo. So, when we collect personal data, dapat reasonable siya or it must only pertain necessary to our specified purpose. Yung kailangan lang po talaga nating para ma-deliver yung service dun sa data subject. Kasi pag hindi po natin na-observe yung principle of proportionality, maaring prone tayo sa mga data breaches. Ang dami nating kino-collect na personal data pero hindi naman appropriate yung security measures natin. So we only collect what is necessary and it should not be excessive to our specified and declared purpose. Ito po, example po siya ng pag-comply sa proportionality. Kung mapapansin niyo po sa PRC-ID, merong mga information na tinanggal na ng PRC. Binawasan na nila yung information na included sa ID kasi yung mga ID na yan, minsan bibigay natin sa kung ano-anong mga companies para makapag-transact and minsan ang daming information dun sa ID. May nakita pa nga ako minsan ID siya, parang sa isang government, employee siya, and then andun pati yung GSIS, PhilHealth, pati yung blood type andun din. Pati yung kung ang daming sensitive personal information na nasa ID. And isipin po natin kung nawala yung ID, 'di ba? Or nanakaw yung ID, eh open na tayo to malaki po yung risk kapag napakadaming information na nandun.
Hindi pwede ba sabay-sampuha kung wala?
Ayan, so i-reiterate ko lang po yung obligations ng PICs na dinescuss ko kanina. So, ito po ay parang summaries na ng data privacy principles under the law. So, number 1, collect only personal information for legitimate and specified purpose. Yun po yung principle of legitimate purpose. Second, retain personal information only for as necessary for the fulfillment of the purpose for which the data was obtained. Again, wala po tayong retention period sa law. Hindi po walang specified retention period. Hindi sinasabi kung pwede natin siyang i-retain for 10 years, for 20 years, for 15 years. Wala pong ganon. The retention period would be determined by the PIC who collects the data and can only be retained for as long as it is necessary for the purpose which it was obtained. So, ang magde-determine po nun ay yung PIC o PIP. And of course, implement appropriate measures. Yan. Process accurate, relevant, and up-to-date information. Collect and process information adequately and not excessively. Yan po yung dinescuss nating proportionality. And lastly, process personal information fairly, lawfully, and in accordance with the rights of a data subject. Ayan po. Ayan. So, tatandaan po natin whether, lalo na kung mga personal information controllers po tayo, ang data privacy golden rule po natin ay if you can protect it, don't collect it. So, tandaan po natin na yung mga data na kino-collect natin, we have an immense responsibility. Yung commitment natin sa data privacy must go beyond compliance. And we have to, it's also about respect, trust, and accountability. We have to remember na lahat ng data point na kino-collect natin is a person. Tao po yan, a story, a life that deserves to be honored and safeguarded. So, yun po, dun po nagtatapos yung introduction about the Data Privacy Act of 2012. So, if may question po kayo, you can ask.
Thank you po, Ma'am Christine. So, kung may question po kayo, pwede po kayo mag-type sa ating chat. So, meron po dito, Ma'am, na isang question. So, how can we prevent data gatherer to ask for too much information when you already gave your consent?
In terms of data gatherer naman po, actually the National Privacy Commission issued guidelines in relation to the principle of proportionality. We always remind the controllers or gatherer na only collect what is necessary for their purpose. So kahit naman po nagbigay na kayo ng consent, you can still exercise your right as a data subject. Pwede po kayong mag-request na ipa-delete yung personal information nyo if you think na beyond the purpose na po yung paggamit sa information na binigay nyo. So, you can still exercise your right kahit na nagbigay na kayo ng consent sa kanila. You can also withdraw, 'di ba? Yung um, right to object. Meron tayong right to object, right to erasure. So, yun po yung pwede natin i-exercise.
Okay po. So, may next po. What are the effects on the person without the privacy?
Mm. Okay, so medyo general po yung question nung without privacy, no? Pero I'll speak lang po in terms of data privacy. So, nakita naman po natin kung ipaprocess na lang po yung katulad ng video na shinare natin, yung pinanood ko po sa inyo. Kung wala pong data privacy, maaring, 'di ba, magamit yung information natin sa undesirable consequences. Katulad nung sa video na parang na-judge na siya based on pinopost niya sa social media. Maaring hindi siya ma-hire for the application na for a job na ina-applyan niya. So, marami pong consequences we can think of kapag walang data privacy. Pero I think that would be one of the example kung kung ano or one of the effect kung walang data privacy law in the Philippines.
Yan po. So, the next question po is, what will happen if someone access your privacy without consent but shares some privacy to others?
Siguro ano po ito, no, yung nag-consent ka and then shinare to third party or third person without your consent. Again, you can exercise your right to erasure or to blocking or to suspend any processing for that matter. So, exercise, kausapin niyo po kung kanino niyo binigay yung information, kung organization siya, kung natural person siya or individual. And then, pwede niyo pong i-exercise yung right niyo to, again, to ask na i-suspend yung pag-process or yung pag-share ng information niyo to person or third parties na hindi naman kayo nagbigay ng consent.
Okay po. So, yung ano daw po, next question is, how about the group chat combo? Is there a data privacy?
Yes po, I think meron kaming mga advisory opinions regarding that. Na kapag ang chat convo ay chat convo includes personal or sensitive personal information, meron kayong mga dinisclose na halimbawa, yung pictures nyo, yung about yung sexual life or political affiliations, yung mga ganyang klaseng information sa chat, that would be covered by the Data Privacy Act. And mag-govern po yung mga diniscuss kong provisions ng law. Pero kapag yung chat convo nyo does not include any sensitive or personal information, hindi po siya covered ng data privacy.
Yun po. So, next question po. In a healthcare setting, what level of access should be granted to different hospital staff, and how do we enforce role-based access effectively?
Okay. In terms of access po kasi, that would be determined by the hospital as a PAC or as a PAP. Ang level of access po, kayo po magde-determine, nasa discretion niyo po yan. Ang mabibigay lang po ng NPC is guidance kung ano yung measures na pwede niyong i-implement sa hospital in order to prevent breach. Pero in terms of access, and you i-enforce role-based, you mean by the hospital and not by the NPC for that matter.
Okay po. So, medyo madami tayong question. So, meron pa po isa dito. Audio of the camera dashcam without consent or awareness of the data subject Is it covered by DPA?
Audio of the camera, ano po ba 'to, for
Um,
personal dashcam or yung meron din po kasi tayong dashcam na mga law enforcement agencies, pero yung mga camera and dashcam po ay covered ng Data Privacy Act. So, i-check niyo po kung ano yung pinaka-appropriate na basis, kung if it's necessary if necessary yung consent, kung meron contract in compliance with legal obligation. Again, consent po is just one of the criteria for lawful processing of personal or sensitive personal information. Hindi po consent ang pinaka-appropriate basis palagi. So, kung may iba pong legal basis for accessing or listening in the audio of a camera or dashcam, maaaring pwede po under the DPA. Pero kung wala pong other legal basis and consent lang po yung pinaka-appropriate, maaaring may violation sa Data Privacy Act kapag na-access or nakita yung dashcam without consent of the data subject. So, we cannot say specifically kung may violation, pero definitely covered po siya ng Data Privacy Act.
Okay po. So yung next question po is yung 201 files of resigned or retired or not connected employee in the institution. Hanggang kailan daw po ito dapat ini-store na isang institution?
Okay po, sige po. Again, we emphasize po na walang retention period po kasi specifically na specified sa Data Privacy Act. So, yung retention period is going to be determined by the company who process personal information. I Kailangan lang po natin i-consider kung ano po yung purpose na dineclare natin sa data subject. Kung ang dineclare po natin sa kanila is we will retain the personal data for for as long as they are connected or affiliated with the company, then pwede po natin siya i-retain for as long as affiliated or connected siya sa company. So, ibig sabihin kapag natapos na yung employment contract niya, dapat i-delete na natin. So, again, the retention period is determined by the company or the organization who collect the personal data. Pero kailangan po natin i-consider yung iba pang laws kasi I think meron halimbawa may law sa National Archive dapat kung gaano katagal puwedeng i-store yung mga information na yun or meron din pong mga guidelines yung DOLE. So, yun po i-consider lang po natin yun kasi sa data privacy wala pong specific retention period.
Okay po. So meron pong isang question dito medyo mahaba po. So meron daw po silang theoretical driving courses and pre-registration daw po sila and they ask kung meron daw po ba silang previous or expired student permit, if available, requested their student permit number, which is required for us to process and verify the issue their certificate, and secondly, in advance encoding or evaluation for their student permit application, we're required to upload copy of birth certificate or passport or national ID. Tama daw po ba iyon?
Registration for theoretical driving courses. So again, if we're collecting personal data or sensitive personal data since ito po ay passport and national ID, refer lang po tayo dun sa Section 13. Ano po ba yung mga lawful basis? Number 1, consent or compliance with legal obligation. So, kung hindi po talaga siya necessary for halimbawa, gagamitin lang natin siya based on based on your question, gagamitin niyo to process or verify, to issue their certificates, siguro ang pinaka-appropriate basis po dito is consent. So, dapat po may consent form kayo in order for you to process this information. Pero if meron po kayong ibang lawful basis na sa palagay nyo mas appropriate other than consent, pwede nyo rin naman po yung gamitin or invoke against the data subject.
Okay po, next po is what is the importance of posting data privacy notices in establishment as required by the NPC?
Again, because the data privacy notice is a manifestation that we are complying with the privacy principle of transparency. So kaya po tayo nagpo-post ng privacy notices because number one, right, karapatan po ng data subject na malaman nila kung saan natin gagamitin yung personal information. And as PIC naman po or as company organization, obligasyon naman po natin yan under the law na maging transparent sa ating data subject.
Okay, next po is when can personal data be legally shared without consent?
Again, based on Section 12 and Section 13, personal information and sensitive personal information can be processed if meron kayong contract. Halimbawa, employment contract. 'Di ba? Kailangan nyo siya in order to report to other government agencies. Kino-collect nyo yung SSS, GSIS, PhilHealth kasi kailangan yung bayaran yung mga yung mga SS, PhilHealth ng employees nyo. So again, hindi nyo kailangan kumuha ng consent because number one, you have contract and number two, you have to comply with legal obligation. So marami pa po yan. Yan po yung diniscuss ko na Section 12 and Section 13 ng DPA.
Ito po ma'am. So, how about po yung nagpa-print ng conversation sa Messenger sa public document printing services? If ever po ba nakinalat nila yon is may habol ka po since basically wala naman written or oral consent just for purpose of printing lang po.
Again, we have to um to check kung yung mga conversation po sa Messenger ay purely conversation or messages. Pag papasok lang po siya sa Data Privacy Act kapag merong personal information or sensitive personal information na involved. Pero pag wala pong personal or sensitive personal information na involved, hindi po siya covered ng Data Privacy Act. So again, hindi necessary yung consent, hindi necessary yung written or oral consent. We have to distinguish po kasi para malaman natin kung covered ng data privacy or hindi. Pero kung purely messages lang po yan with each other, I don't think covered po siya ng data privacy. Baka may mas ibang law na mag-govern sa mga ganyang klaseng scenarios or circumstances.
Okay po. So, in public places or area, is anyone allowed to take photo or video of you without your consent?
Again, the policy of the state po in terms yung diniscuss ko po kanina, protecting fundamental human right to privacy but also ensuring free flow of information. So kung halimbawa mapipicturean kayo sa public area, may mga of course marami pong gumagawa niyan. Pero that personal information will only be used for personal, household affairs, hindi po siya covered ng Data Privacy Act. So, 'di ba po may exception po tayo sa law kapag yung pictures or yung personal data ay gagamitin for personal or household affairs, hindi po siya covered ng data privacy. So, kung tinatanong niyo po, is anyone allowed to take a photo or video of you without consent? I think pwede po siya. Pwede po siya kasi again, that would fall under the exceptions under the law.
So, additional question daw po in relation with the healthcare setting. How can health information management departments move from basic compliance to a culture of proactive data privacy and security?
Again, I think that would start with, actually maganda 'tong ginagawa ng DICT that they're having, conversations or seminars or training with regard to data privacy. So, first po siguro dapat you have to, kung nasa healthcare po kayo, you have to appoint a data protection officer. From that, um, subukan niyo po na magkaroon ng awareness sa hospital niyo, sa mga employees na nagpo-process ng sensitive personal information, lalo na yung health information ng mga patients niyo. And of course, mahalaga din po yung paggawa ng privacy management program. So, siguro yung pag-comply naman po sa Data Privacy Act, it's a journey, hindi po siya magagawa ng agad-agad. I think it will be a continuing journey. So, siguro mag-start muna po kayo sa pinaka-simple or basic by appointing a DPO, and from there, work out niyo po yung, pag-conduct ng privacy impact assessment and paggawa ng privacy management program.
Okay po, next po is how about po sa mga internet service provider? May right po ba silang ibigay ang aming mga data?
Okay, so sa mga internet service provider naman po, since they are considered as personal information controller, meron po silang right to process your personal information kasi po nag-enter kayo ng contract with them. I-check nyo lang po sa contract nyo or kung ano man pong sinainan nyo kung meron po dong provision on sharing of your personal data to third party or third party service providers. So kung wala po, you can exercise your right to erasure. Kung meron naman po, again, hindi po kailangan ng consent nyo kasi may contract po sila with you. So, you have to check lang po dun sa your contract with internet service provider.
Okay po, so next po, so does the use of CCTV footage to verify a staff member's daily time record constitute a violation the employee's right to privacy?
Okay. So, again, yung CCTV footage po, since nagko-collect siya ng personal information, definitely yung mga picture and videos natin ng mga tao, lalo na kung nasa considered as processing. So, yung employer nyo naman po dapat transparent sa inyo kung saan po gagamitin yung mga CCTV footage. So, kung wala po dun sa dineclare na purpose nila, that such footage will be used to verify your attendance, maaring may violation po under data privacy.
Next po is from our DICT Region 3 naman po. So how can we exercise our rights if the data collector will not respond to any communication? Can NPC help on this situation and how?
Yes po. Again, yung binanggit ko po na exhaustion of remedies, puwedeng i-consult niyo muna dun sa organization na na you feel like nag-violate ng data privacy niyo. If hindi po sila nag-respond, puwede po kayong lumapit sa NPC. Through those portal po na shino ko kanina, meron po kaming mechanism on how you can file a complaint with the National Privacy Commission.
So are there any restriction regarding the use of body camera by both private citizen, law enforcement officer, and military personnel to any activity?
Yes po, meron po kaming guidelines regarding body-worn camera. So medyo mahaba pong discussion yun, but I think I'll share na lang po through this meeting yung guidelines na nilabas ng NPC regarding body-worn cameras.
Ito naman po, next po is in your personal experience daw po, ano po yung biggest mistake na people make regarding their data privacy?
Siguro po, I can only speak dun sa mga natatanggap namin complaints, but most of them, number one, is yung overcollection po. Overcollection, napakadaming information na kino-collect, then hindi naman appropriate or sufficient yung security measures na ini-implement. And I think second is, since wala po silang awareness regarding data privacy, although naiintindihan naman po namin na um, I think 2012 naging effective yung law, 2016 nagkaroon ng National Privacy Commission. So relatively new yung data privacy. Pero I think lack of awareness and over collection are examples of biggest mistake in terms of data privacy.
So next po is a company hires a third-party PIC and there's a data breach on PIC. Who will take the accountability?
Okay, that's a good question po, no? If you have PIP or third-party service, the one who will take accountability would be the PAC, the controller po. So kahit in-outsource nyo po yung processing nyo, the PAC will still be the one who will be held accountable by the NPC. And si PIC pa rin po yung magre-report ng data breach sa NPC. So kung mag-outsource po kayo ng third party, dapat i-ensure nyo po sa mga provisions ng contract that there is a provision or agreement na kapag may breach na nangyari dun sa PIP sa third party service, i-report sa inyo. Kasi at the end of the day, the controller will be the one na i-held liable ng NPC.
Okay, next question po sa school naman daw po dahil marami pong gagraduate this ano. So we work in school in posting a list of graduates on social media to congratulate the students. Violation daw po ba to ng data privacy? Yeah, it includes their names and pictures daw po.
I think may guidelines po na, not guidance, parang advisory opinion po na nilabas yung NPC regarding sa posting ng list of graduates and kahit po yung mga list of students na nauso lalo na nung pandemic. So, ngayon po medyo nire-regulate na namin na as much as possible, kailangan po ng consent nung graduate kung ipopost nyo po yung kanilang picture. Exception po dito, I think yung mga list of passers. Halimbawa sa mga board exam, minsan may mga list of passers or yun po, or sa bar exam, exception po siya. Pero kapag, halimbawa, if ang ipopost nyo po ay list of graduates, I think it would be necessary to get their consent first.
So next po, would publicly posting the photo and name of an individual to indicate that they are no longer connected with the company be considered a violation of data privacy regulations?
No po. I think may advisory opinion din po kami dyan that posting the photo and name of an individual to tell the public that he is no longer connected or affiliated with the company is not a violation of the Data Privacy Act because that would fall under legitimate interest under Section 12 of the DPA. So may legitimate interest po yung company to inform yung mga clients niya na itong particular person ay hindi na connected sa kanilang company. Pero yung pag-post po nung announcement, dapat it would only indicate the photo and the name of the individual. Hindi niya na po dapat dinedeclare or pinapublicize kung merong halimbawa administrative liability or any case against that employee. So dapat restricted po siya sa photo and name nung individual.
So next po, does NPC provide assistance to data subject when there's an issue of breach of DPA between the subject and the party that received the information of data subject? For example po, receiver ay mga government agencies.
Yes po. You can file a complaint with the NPC or pwede po kayong sumangguni sa any of our channels or even sa office namin if may issue kayo with regard to a company or organization. So again, ang both po nire-regulate ng NPC, the private sector and the government sector.
So ito po, ano po ang mga basic practices na dapat gawin para maiwasan ng data leakage?
Siguro unahin ko na lang po muna sa mga personal information controllers. Although hindi ko lang masyadong diniscuss kanina yung tatlong measures, organizational, technical, and physical measures. So, importante po na meron kayong tatlong security measures kung kayo po ay organization or individual na nagpa-process ng personal information. Sa mga data subject naman po, kung kayo naman yung hinihingian ng information, make sure na basahin niyo po yung privacy notice. Alam ko medyo mahaba, tedious magbasa ng mga notices, but in that way, mai-inform po tayo kung ano yung right at pwede nating i-invoke against personal information controller. And at the same time, siguro important din po yung katulad ng nandun sa video, that we have to be careful kung ano po yung sinishare natin online. Kasi once it's online, it's permanently there. So, yun po, maging conscious lang din po tayo sa kung ano man yung sinishare natin, both online and offline.
So ito po, last four. So sa yearbook daw po or scholastic records, scratch paper containing students' personal information, yung ginagawa daw po tinaparapping, is a data privacy issue daw po ba yun?
Yes, that's a data privacy issue po. I think sa mga awareness programs po namin, binabanggit po namin yan as one of example ng data privacy violation. Kasi again, that's a personal information. Tapos yung ginagamit siya as wrap ng tinapa or minsan, I think meron yun yung sa container ng Leche Plan. Nandun yung student's yearbook. So again, kung school po sila, maaring mareklamo po sila ng estudyante. Lalo na kung walang measures yung ano. Pero again, that's a data privacy issue po.
So next po, if banks have strong data privacy systems, how are scammers still able to access customer information and steal money from debit and credit accounts? Are banks fully responsible when customer gets scammed, or do other factors like user behavior and play a bigger role?
Regarding po dun sa first question, um, I cannot speak for banks since kami po we only regulate them, but we're not really informed kung ano yung mga measures na ini-implement nila in order to protect our personal information. Pero as to the question if banks are fully responsible kapag na-scam yung customers nila, it depends po, no? I can only speak for in terms of Data Privacy Act. If halimbawa na-leak yung personal, na-breach yung system nila because of inappropriate or insufficient security measures, since may investigation naman po na gagawin yung NPC, then the bank can be held liable. So, it depends po, no, sa scenario kung makikita namin na may pagkukulang yung banks in terms of protecting yung personal information na binigay natin sa kanila, they can be held liable under the DPA.
Okay, next po is regulation regarding the use of body camera. Yung mga copy daw po,
Okay,
nun saan
sige
daw
po.
po makukuha?
Nasa NPC website po siya. Actually, privacy.gov.ph. Nandun po siya in one of our circulars regarding the use of body-worn cameras.
Okay, last po, siguro last three. So if an old company still uses credential owned by resigned employee for a success specific subscription, would then it be considered a data privacy issue since the personal information of an old employee is used? What might be the violations.
Credential. Hmm. So ito po yung regarding sa resigned employee 'no. Again since yung PIC po magde-determine kung gaano niya katagal and ire-retain yung personal data, and if halimbawa tapos na yung specified purpose pero ginagamit niya pa rin po yung personal information na binigay niyo sa kanya, then that may be a violation of the Data Privacy Act. So um puwede niyo pong i-invoke yung unauthorized processing of personal information under the law.
Yan po. So, how about mga third party issues or bogus buyers? Yung pong nag-posting of their pictures and other infos online, can they complain po?
Bogus buyers, bale yung mga seller po ba yung nagpo-post ng pictures nila? Um, I think 'no, based on the advisory opinions, um, kapag involved na po yung sensitive personal information such as meron ng case or administrative proceeding, hindi po siya dapat dine-disclose publicly. So, I'm not sure lang po dito kung, um, i-check niyo po if meron ng proceedings or, pending case bago mag-post ng information about that. Pero kung wala naman po but merely to, um, para i-inform yung mga clients or yung audience niya about this bogus buyer, baka maaaring wala naman pong violation.
So, last po, no? Dami nating questions. So, how about po yung mga text messages na shinare po ng third party sa mga taong involved doon sa message na minention sa convo nila?
Again, kapag po involve ay text message or chat, message, hindi po siya covered automatically ng DPA. Kailangan po natin i-identify kung meron pong personal information or sensitive personal information na involved. Kapag wala po, hindi po siya covered ng DPA. Kung text message, usapan lang po yan, walang other information na dinisclose, then baka hindi na po siya covered ng Data Privacy Act.
Yun po, thank you so much po, Ma'am Christine, sa pagsagot ng napakaraming question kasi talagang curious po talaga sila tungkol sa data privacy. So, let's proceed to our, ano po, uh, dahil lang po. So, yung post eval and attendance po natin ay isi-share po natin yung link sa ating chat box. So, kailangan po nyo pong i-accomplish yun. Pareho para po tayo ay maka-receive ng ating e-certificates. Yung e-certificate po natin ay 2 weeks po ang processing. So, kung makakapaghintay po kayo, maraming maraming salamat po. So, inaayos ko lang po yung ating presentation. Saglit lang po. Okay po, now we'll proceed to our awarding of certificates. So, certificate of recognition is presented to Ma'am Christine Danica S. Addis in grade 4 recognition of in the invaluable sharing of knowledge and expertise as research person during the webinar entitled Data Privacy Awareness, conducted by the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau through the ICT Bulacan on March 19, 2026 via an online conferencing platform. Given this 19th day of March 2026 at the ICT Bulacan Provincial Office, signed by our Regional Director Antonio Edward E. Padre. Na po sa gusto mag-attendance and post-eval po. So yung link po ay share ko po sa chat maya-maya. So tapos i-stay rin po natin ito before tayo mag-end. So with that, eh, sorry. Kokopyahin lang po natin yung links ng Posebal. Ayan po, ang ating post-evaluation form ay nasa chat na po. Ang session naman po natin ay naka-record naman po. So we will, ano naman po yun. We will send it if we can email it to you with your e-certificates po. Ma'am Christine, may nagre-request din po pala ng presentation niyo po. Pwede po daw po bang i-send sa kanila yung presentation or ano po?
I-send ko na lang po sa DICT.
Okay po. Sige po.
Okay.
Ma'am Nika, meron po kayong ano, yung evaluation para sa RP? Yung sa NPC po? Or enough na po yung sa evaluation form ng DICT?
Sorry, naka-mute pa. Okay na po yun sa DICT, ma'am. And then may separate po kami for DICT lang po.
Agency to agency.
Apa,
Okay,
agency po. Thank you po.
thank you po.
So ayun po no. So thank you so much for giving us your time and thank you din po kay Ma'am Danica for very informative data privacy awareness session po no. Sana po may natutunan po tayo kahit papaano. And sana po ay meron pa po ulit na mga susunod na data privacy awareness kasi po napakadami po talagang kailangan tandaan sa mga laws and mga privacy issues natin, especially in our day and age dahil tayo ay nasa social media po talaga and we cannot help but leak talaga yung mga pangalan, pictures and mga information natin. So with that po, thank you very much and follow us on Facebook po. So DICT.Bulacan po for future webinar just like this and thank you po and have a great day ahead. So yung mga ano po, yung mga nakapag-post eval and attendance po, pag nakatapos na po kayo, pwede na po kayo mag-leave in our call. So thank you po.